You know the feeling when you spent days and days studying and working hard for a test or assignment and you get your results and they're not what you hoped for. Believe me, everybody's been there before, including myself, more times than I would like to admit. Today, I'll be sharing how I gently pick myself up after a disappointing mark and the steps that I take in order to feel better.
Hi guys, welcome to the video. My name is Mia Ashley and today I'm going to be talking to you about my top 5 tips that I use to make myself feel better after a disappointing mark or grade. I just want to clarify that for the sake of this video, disappointing does not necessarily mean a fail. It's more so just any grade that is not what you expected, when you wanted maybe more than what you got. But yeah, just really anything that you weren't expecting. I'm sure that everybody has been there before, including myself. Just this past term, I had a depth study assessment that I worked for over a month on, and I ended up getting a mark that wasn't bad or a fail by any means, but it just wasn't what I was expecting. And initially it did ruin my day and I was very devastated about it, but using these tips to process it and deal with it and then improve for next time is so vital to my school processes. So let's get on to the tips.
Tip number 1 is to let yourself feel without beating yourself up.
Jumping straight from I'm so upset and disappointed to oh my god, I'm so happy and proud of myself is not, it is a challenge and it's not realistic in all, in my opinion. 100% for some people it works for them, but personally I am not one of those people, and it takes me a lot of time to kind of realize how I'm feeling and move away from those bad feelings into something more positive. If you're like me, just taking a minute to deal with those feelings that you're having about it is so important, because it allows you to not suppress or ignore how you're feeling, but deal with them, because they are valid emotions and valid feelings about it, especially when you work so hard on something. So even if it is just talking to someone or writing it down or saying it to yourself, it doesn't matter. Just getting any thoughts and feelings that you have and just taking a little bit of time to realize them and acknowledge them and process them is so important to any educational process, really, because of course, you know, no one's perfect, no one can get 100% of the time, you know what I mean? Like, taking time to deal with your feelings is vital. And on that topic, this brings me to my next point.
Tip number 2 is to turn a negative into a positive.
Initially, making an upsetting and disheartening scenario into a positive thing is such a challenge. It is not easy at all, coming from myself especially. But taking a bit of time to try and find some light in your darkness and finding some good things in what you feel is quite bad is so beneficial and helps so much, especially with that processing part of the process. And of course, it doesn't have to come just from you and your brain. It can definitely come from someone else. For me personally, with my grade that I was telling you about just before, my boyfriend was giving me a bit of advice on how to deal, and he even mentioned that he's been there before, he knows heaps of people that have been there before, and making a video for people, like turning this negative thing into a video opportunity, can definitely be so beneficial, not only for me to deal with it, but for other people to deal with their things too. And of course, you don't have to make a video. If you would like to, go right ahead. It can definitely, believe me, it definitely helps, but just finding some way to turn it from the negative into a positive helps a lot. And on the topic of positivity brings me to my third point.
Tip number 3, celebrating the small wins.
Although the overall mark may be really upsetting, there are so many other things for you to celebrate. First of all, even handing in the assignment, no matter how much or how little you did, the fact that you managed to work on something and hand it in for your teacher to give you any grade for is it is definitely something to celebrate. On that as well, the time that you spent working on that and researching and studying and handing in or doing the test, anything, any amount of time that you spent on this is something to be so commended, because it is effort and it is the work that you're spending your time on. You should be so proud of yourself for any amount of work that you do and any grade that you get. And even if you don't feel like celebrating the grade, celebrating some other smaller parts of it can definitely help with those positives. Although a lot of these feelings can feel bittersweet sometimes, like this previous point, focusing on those positives helps so much, especially with the processing your emotions part.
Tip number 4 is taking on feedback.
Keeping all of this positivity and celebration in mind, looking at the feedback that your teacher or professor has provided you is a vital step to your educational process. Although it can be really difficult to see sometimes, looking through any and all feedback that the teacher or whoever it is has given you. Nala's just walked in. Oh, and she's gone. It's definitely so important, as whoever it is quite literally giving you the help and feedback that you need in order to improve the next time. And of course, it doesn't even have to be for that subject. For example, the depth study that I did, the feedback that my teacher gave me, I can now apply to the depth studies that I'm doing for different subjects this term, you know? Like, I got 2 this time, and I'm very grateful that I got to do 1 earlier in the term, so I can take all of the work from that into there. As well, if, you know, teachers are busy, if there's someone that doesn't have time to give specific feedback, or if it is the kind of test or exam where feedback can't really be given, like math tests, they can give you feedback on individual questions, but maybe not so much on things for you to improve on. Providing yourself with any feedback that you find is definitely a really, really great tool to have for you to kind of go, you know, I got this question wrong and that's kind of a recurring theme throughout this. I'm gonna make a mental note and work on that for myself. And this brings me to my final point.
Tip number 5, making a plan for next time.
There is no use and no good in reading through and making all of this feedback for yourself if you don't apply it and use it somewhere for your results. Because as I said before, all the feedback is quite literally telling you on how to improve and helping you, you know? So making a plan or having a study guide for upcoming tests or assignments or whatever it may be is so important. I would recommend, even if it's not, you know, a 50-page document, just writing a little thing down in your own words, because having that information written from how you speak is so beneficial. Because if you're just copying what someone else has written to you, it might help, but making sure that you comprehend it yourself and you realize what to improve on is really, really beneficial. And especially because it helps your memory. Like, writing something in your own words is so good for memory and remembering, which you will definitely need to remember the next time you have an assessment. And as I said before, this feedback does not have to be specific for one class. You can use feedback from, I don't know, English for a geography test, like, you know. But at the end of the day, it is so important to be proud of yourself and to remember that you've done so much fantastic work, no matter what the mark is. Do not forget that your mark on a piece of paper or on a website does not equate to your worth as a person. As a student, I understand how difficult it really is to separate the two, and especially to beat yourself up on the grades that you get. Please, please, please remember to be proud of yourself and to celebrate any kind of wins that you get. But yes, please, please, please do not forget to be so proud of yourself for everything you've achieved, because any kind of work, even if it's just a sentence, is more than nothing. So please don't forget to be proud of yourself. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. It is such a blessing to be able to share any and all of this with you guys. I appreciate your support so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and see you guys in the next one. Bye!